Hello guys, hope you're doing good. So in today's video, we're going to look at this new titanium twig stove I got from Temu.
So overall, it's a pretty compact stove that comes in this nylon pouch. So when folded, the length is 178 millimeters, the width is 135 millimeters, and the thickness is 31 millimeters. And the stove packs into the base of the stove, as you can see here. So it's a pretty lightweight stove coming at 590 grams, so it's easy to pack. So the main body of the stove is foldable, it has hinges, so it's quick deploy. You just need to unfold it and then slot it into the base of the stove. So you have two different options of supports you can add to the top of your stove. Either this grill, if you want to maybe grill a steak with the stove, or you can use the 4 brackets that come with the stove. So that's what I prefer to use. You can install them in the top position, as I'm doing here, or in intermediate positions if you want to use an alcohol stove with this titanium stove.
So the Boundless Voyage Titanium folding stove can also be used with your alcohol stove. So this is an alcohol stove from the same company, made of titanium. I'm going to make a review on this one pretty soon. So the way to adjust it is, instead of installing these crossbars on top, you can install them through these slots here. So let's do that. You pass the slots through the stove here and install them in these grooves. You can install 2 of them. These crossbars are going to form a ledge inside the stove, and you can easily slide your alcohol stove inside and use it as a windscreen and a support.
So when deployed, the stove is relatively big, measuring 206 millimeters in height by 178 and 135 millimeters. So one of the benefits of a big stove like that is that you can fill it with lots of pieces of wood, so it's going to burn for quite a long time. So the first thing I want to do is line the bottom of the stoves with these pieces of dry wood to create a base that's going to eventually form the embers of this fire. Next step is I want to fill the stove with as much birch bark as possible. So this is going to be the primary combustion source, and then add these very dry twigs to fill up the rest of the volume. Those are going to burn very hot and very fast. After that, I want to add some larger pieces of wood. They're going to take over after the twigs are burnt down. It's pretty cold and windy out there, around minus 15 degrees, so definitely time to get the fire going. So one feature I really like with these twig stoves is that if you prepare them properly with a good amount of birch bark and twigs, you just need to ignite them and then they'll start burning by themselves, and it won't be necessary to maintain it or add twigs for a while. Another nice feature of having the fire enclosed in the titanium stove is that it protects the flames from the wind. So in the high wind situation, where sometimes it's very difficult to get your fire going, this is going to be way easier with the twig stove. So as you can see, initially we had a lot of black smoke coming from the stove. This was from the combustion of the oils and the birch bark, but as the stove built up some heat, we had less and less smoke. So one of the reasons I really enjoy using these twig stoves is that you don't need to carry extra fuel like you would with your propane stove or your alcohol stove. You can just pick up your fuel in the woods, break off some twigs, baton down a piece of wood, and then you're ready. The only drawback is that it will definitely take longer than with a propane stove, but if you're in the wilderness and you're out there to enjoy it, I think it's a great option. So some people ask me why even take a stove, we can just make an open fire. Well, the benefit of this twig stove is that you're going to enclose a lot of the heat, and the burn is going to be way more efficient than if you have an open fire. And for these reasons, you can get your water boiling with much less fuel than you would with an open fire. One very unusual characteristic of this stove is its base. So it allows some very good airflow through the sides that are open. The bottom of the base is fully closed, so it acts as an ash pan to collect all the ash from the fire, whereas the top of the base has holes to allow the air to flow inside your burn chamber.
So this stove definitely has some good ventilation and airflow. you have these slots here on the stove itself, but obviously on the base of the stove you have these very large openings that connect with the bottom of the grate, so you can have some updraft. And on both the front and the back of the stove you also have openings to allow air to circulate in your stove.
So as I mentioned previously, this is a pretty good sized stove, has the capacity to hold a lot of wood for some long combustion, but at the same time has a pretty large surface area on top, so you can put some pretty large pots. You could easily put a 2-liter pot on there and get the water boiling rather quickly. So in this instance, I was able to boil around 500 milliliters of water, so about half a liter, in about 5 to 6 minutes in these freezing conditions. So I think that's a pretty good, pretty efficient stove. So overall, what are my conclusions about this stove? So I'm pretty impressed by the fact that it can pack down very compact. It's quite light because it's made out of titanium. But when deployed, it's quite a large volume stove. It's one of the bigger stoves I have, and it gets water boiling quite efficiently. So I definitely recommend you go check it out. So Temu has agreed to give me a discount code for my viewers. So you can find the discount code in the link in the description below. So all you need to do is to click on that link, download the Temu app to have access to this deal. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.